On this episode of Color Quickie, I have a wonderful color to talk to you about. It is one that I am extremely excited about, one of my favorite color types, and it was recently featured in the 2024 Sherwin-Williams Anthology Color Trends palette, particularly from the blues and greens color palette. If you know me, I'm the color guy, and I love me some green. Specifically, this green. We're of course talking about Billiard Green by Sherwin-Williams. It is dark, it is rich, it is gorgeous. And in today's video, I'm gonna give you some technical details on it. And then at the end, I'm gonna recommend some trim color options and other wall color pairings that go really well with it in this guy's opinion. You ready? Me too. So to start things off, let's talk about how dark this color is, because clearly it's very saturated, has a lot of coloration to it, and we can tell exactly how dark it is by the LRV, which is the light reflectance value, the amount of light that a color reflects, the percentage. Billiard Green has a 9 out of 100, which is very low, but not quite at the same level as black paint, which would be at like 2 or 3. 9 is in a good place where you can notice the saturation or the hue that's being presented. And in this case, it's clearly just a beautiful deep forest green, almost like a billiard table. I guess that's where it gets its name. So in addition to being part of the 2024 Color Mix forecast, this is also part of the Sherwin-Williams Historic Colors collection, which means it will naturally have this sort of timeless appeal that I really enjoy. Greens of this nature that are this deep and dark are wonderful choices in terms of accent colors, but even in entire rooms, because unlike blues or slate grays, which can feel a little more cold leaning, greens have this wonderful transitional nature that feels tied to nature and can create a really organic feel in homes that use a lot of those natural materials like woods and rattans and jutes. And I just love the tranquil quality that green brings to a home, whether you go lighter or deeper like Billiard Green. Okay, so if you're using Billiard Green on your walls, let's say, what kind of trim color would go really well with it? Well, to start things off, if you're painting your baseboards, your doors, and your frames, chances are you're probably thinking of some sort of white or off-white. If that's the case, I would lean you towards Alabaster by Sherwin-Williams. One of my favorite off-whites. And yes, it is an off-white. It's not bright, stark, or crisp like my t-shirt. It is a warm-leaning off-white that will feel a little bit softer, but I think it just complements Billiard Green beautifully. It leans into that warm, organic sort of feel that this color can bring, especially if you utilize a lot of organic textures and wood in your home, especially on the lighter side. Perfect for that. And then if you wanted something really dramatic and dark with your trim or your door colors, Caviar is a great choice. Now, we were talking about low LRV colors earlier. This one is pretty much as low as you can get. It has a 3 LRV. So very deep, very dark. And in terms of its composition as a black, it's pretty neutral. It doesn't have very strong undertones. Maybe it leans the slightest bit towards like a really, really dark brown. The green is turned down just a touch, but in practicality, it's going to be more up to your lighting and your furniture and all of your decor that will really determine how this black will look. Hopefully it'll just look black though. And of course, the bonus trim color for these dark colors, I always recommend at least considering just continuing it onto your trim for a more subtle, streamlined, kind of simplistic approach. So you have Billiard Green walls and baseboards. Just make sure that if it's on your walls, you're using a wall paint or finish. And if it's on the trim, do the same for the trim, okay? Don't be a cheap landlord and slap the same paint on both substrates, okay? Let's get to some color pairings, and the first one is from the Emerald Designer Edition colors, which are really beautiful. But before we do that, I just want to quickly mention that we have our Patreon channel fully operational. This is the best way to support us on YouTube and beyond. We put out new content every single Sunday, only watchable on our Patreon channel. We really need your support to keep us doing this full time on YouTube and beyond. We love making this content. And in order for me not to get another job on the side, subscribe to us on Patreon for that extra exclusive content. And if you join our Prime tier, every 3 months, you get your own personal mini color quickie of your choosing. Very exciting stuff.
It's nice.
Color pairing number 1 is Soft Sage. And like I said, this is exclusive to that Emerald Designer collection. What's wonderful about this is even though this is part of the neutral color family, according to Sherwin-Williams, it has color to it. It is a green, but a grayed out green. It's muted, it's desaturated, and it's perfectly a mid-tone as well. So it has a 50 LRV right in the middle. This gives you a little bit of flexibility because it has punch, it has depth. It's not an off-white by any means, but it's also not too dark. So you have a nice bit of contrast with billiard green in terms of it feeling lighter and also less green, but still within the same family. A little bit monochromatic, but this can act as essentially your main building block color of the palette that you can paint the larger parts of your home with, and then the other colors can sort of inject themselves as accents. And hey, if soft sage is too dark for you as kind of that main color, alabaster on the trim can also double as a great off-white in this palette. Now, keeping this green theme going, edamame, they're green, but dried edamame, which is this color right here, not so green. Yeah, there might be a slight green undertone in the background, but really this just translates to more of a kind of gold, bronzy tan color. You have almost this brown base that is warmed up with some gold, but it's this ochre, deep brown mustard undertone that sort of pulls it in the green direction ever so slightly, while giving you a very different feel. So clearly a lot more warmth here than that sage color, which I think is important if you're trying to differentiate different spaces in your home with different vibes. And it's all about vibes, right? LRV wise, this is a bit of a darker color at 36 light reflectance value. Pretty much as dark as you can get while still feeling like a mid-tone. A lot of saturation, still fairly neutral in the sense that it's kind of a beigey color, but I do think you will see a lot of that gold coming through. So make sure you test this one out first. Don't think it's just a beige, because it's not. The third color pairing is a bit of a curveball. That's how you throw a curveball. I'm not a big baseball guy. Originally, I was gonna go for a blue, and a more purple leaning blue, because we are seeing that in Sherwin-Williams' color of the year and even Benjamin Moore's color of the year, actually. But I wanted to go a little further here. And our first two color pairings, they were in the darker half of colors in general, so I wanted to go a little bit brighter, but still be an accent. And the way that I accomplished that was with hyacinth tint. Look at this color. It is a wonderful, icy, almost periwinkle purple, but at a 60 LRV, that sort of sits in a sweet spot in terms of interiors. You know I love some low 60s LRV, and that's because it's saturated enough to be noticed no matter what, and not really too dark for any circumstance, really. I just find this color to feel so delicate, yet so dynamic at the same time, which is hard to accomplish. While you can use this color in smaller doses as little accent features, either on a wall or even in your decor or your fabrics or your textiles that you use, I would love to see this in full rooms, living rooms, dining rooms, maybe even a kitchen, bedrooms for sure, bathrooms. So a lot you can do here. If you're wanting to embrace color and try something different, this could be a great option for you. Here's the palette all together. Let me know what you think. And how about that hyacinth tint, eh? Just popping out. And of course, more videos just for you right over here.